Yeah, you like the shirt? Babe got it for me. Thanks, babe, I love you. And I thought I'd be wearing this in celebration today, but, well, let's talk about this. Lilo and Stitch. So in Disney's everlasting crusade to bastardize their animated classics, we have come to Lilo and Stitch. And yeah, this one hurts. In case you didn't know, the original Lilo and Stitch is one of my childhood favorites. I grew up with this movie and the entire franchise that followed. I love the movies. I love Stitch. She's my little gremlin. He's one of my all-time favorite Disney characters. And well, this is how I feel after seeing this live-action remake. So in Lilo and Stitch, it's kinda, sorta, more or less the same story as the original, sort of. Lilo Plekeley is a little girl living in Hawaii. She doesn't fit in with all the other kids. Her older sister Nani is really struggling to make ends meet and keep the Ohana together, when from out of the sky lands Experiment 626, on the run from his creator, Jumba Plekeley, who's trying to get him back. So Lilo and Stitch meet, Lilo adopts Stitch as her new dog, and shenanigans ensue from there. What we get is, like I said, a bastardization of my beloved classic. Yeah, just gonna let you know this, because I am so nostalgically attached to the original, it's gonna be damn near impossible for me to be objective about this movie. But luckily for me, Babe is not nostalgically attached to the original, even though we watched it last night, and he was still like, what did we just watch? Yeah, we both disliked this movie. So going through our characters, I will say Maya Kealoha as little Lilo, she was great. I did feel like she nailed a lot of the Lilo mannerisms. She's weird, she's quirky, she's got her little doll Scrump, and she's funny too. She actually had a couple of moments that had us laughing out loud. And Stitch, once again voiced by Stitch's original creator and voice actor, Chris Sanders. I'll actually say I love how Stitch was done in this movie. Maybe he's not as agile and insect-like as his movements are in the original animation, but his behaviors, his mannerisms, I thought this movie nailed those. He's fun to watch. You really can't mess Stitch up, I guess. Okay, you can, but I don't feel like this movie did. I mean, the best moments in this movie, I will say, are with our title characters, Lilo and Stitch. Some really good moments with them, where I was like, alright, fine, I'll give you this. Which honestly angers me even more. The fact that there are some moments in here that are actually good, as few and far between and sporadic as they are. Now on to the other characters, who I will sum up in one word here, and that is butchered. Lilo's older sister, Nani. Butchered. Look, I get what this movie's trying to do with Nani, because she's in a tough situation, right? Same as in the original. She's trying to keep this broken family together, but in this movie, it really doesn't seem like she cares that much. Again, comparing this to the original, but, I mean, I can't not. But yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail here because I don't want to spoil this movie, but Nani's problem was not done as well as it was in the original. The biggest offender to me in this movie was Jumba and Plekeley. Oh my god, how they massacred my boys. They have it so in this movie they can disguise themselves as humans. That's fine, but I mean, to say they were miscast is a huge understatement. Zach Galifianakis plays Jumba, and Billy Magnussen plays Plekeley. And actually, I will say, Billy Magnussen as Plekeley, he wasn't too bad. In fact, actually, he wasn't miscast. He was good in that role. He went too far with it. That's the script's problem. And maybe some ad-libbing here and there that was too much for my personal taste. But Jumba. Ugh. And I said in my video about the trailer for this that I was really concerned about how they're doing Jumba. That's like one of the biggest things I was gonna look out for. And well, all my concerns were completely justified. Jumba was massacred in this movie. So not done well. I mean, the fact that he doesn't have the same Russian-like accent as David Ogden Stiers had in the original, that's whatever. But his character is completely changed. There have been some photos that have made their way onto the internet of Alien Jumba, but I don't want to show Alien Jumba here because he wasn't in the trailer. But I'll just say, yeah, the design is really bad, as is most of the CG in this movie, I'll be honest. Aside from the Grand Councilwoman, who looked decent, and the opening ship chase, oh, and Stitch looked good. But both Jumba and Plekeley looked awful, in their alien forms, that is. And actually, now that I think about it, they're really the only bad CG in this movie, but it was enough to break my heart. Here's a funny story. Within the first 2 minutes of this movie, I knew that, well,
something went wrong.
Because the beginning of this movie, the action scene, the sci-fi stuff is so rushed. Oh my god, I was like flabbergasted. I was like, wait, slow down, movie. And a lot of other live-action Disney remakes have done this, where they just zoom through the opening of the movie, because it's like they assume we know how it goes. And no, don't do that. You gotta take your time, sit us down, and tell the complete story of this. There's one more thing I don't like, but it is a major spoiler, so I can't talk about it here. Something from the original that was excluded here. That's all I'll say. Where Babe Gabe and I were both like, why wasn't that in the movie? Cobra Bubbles was also kind of butchered. I mean, he is a minor character, but he's important enough. And again, I don't want to go into too much detail on how he's butchered, but like in the trailer, you saw him go, "We have a blue dog to catch." And right there, I should have been like, that's a red flag, because that's not how he was in the original. And okay, again, if you're not nostalgically attached to the original, then you won't notice these changes. Or at least maybe they won't be as much of a problem for you. I don't know. Because from what I've seen of initial early reviews, people are saying that this is one of the better live-action Disney remakes, and I can only assume those reviews are from people who did not grow up with the original like I did, and they're not as nostalgically attached to it as I am. Which, yeah, I'm not being objective at all here, which might be unlike me, but again, with something like this that I grew up with as part of my childhood, my building blocks, I can't. I feel like this is gonna be like Detective Pikachu for me, where most people gave that movie decent reviews, but I didn't like it. Maybe it's because I'm nostalgically attached to Pokemon. Maybe I just didn't like the script. It's probably that. And to be fair, this movie has a pretty bad script as well, but most people seem to think this movie is at least decent. So I don't know, good for them, I guess, but I just can't do it. Because the story in here is changed in so many ways for the worse that honestly, and this is the best way I can describe it, this live-action Lilo and Stitch movie feels more like a reboot than a remake, which is not how it should feel. We weren't promised a reboot of the franchise, we were promised a remake of the first movie. And there's even some fan service in here, for folks like us who grew up with the entire franchise. Again, I'm not gonna spoil some stuff, but some stuff that alludes to other entries in the original franchise, where I was like, oh no. Not only is this movie slandering my original beloved classic, but it's also bringing the rest of the franchise into this? Oh, the horror. But hey, you know what? At least the music and the soundtrack is good. At least the songs are anyway. It's got those songs with Hawaiian lyrics from the original. Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride is great, and that was actually one of the good scenes in the movie. And the Elvis Presley tunes are back, although it's funny, in this movie, it feels like they're more out of place. Again, another spoiler, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. Dan Romer's score, though, not nearly as good as Alan Silvestri's original. In the original, you had that fanfare. Bum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum. Love that theme. It's nowhere in here. No, I didn't pick up on any fanfare or themes anywhere in this movie's score. Not that I was really expecting to, and that's another bummer. So yeah, in the end, this live-action Lilo and Stitch is another dream crushed. Not that I was exactly dreaming of a live-action Lilo and Stitch movie in the first place, but I can see why this was originally slated to be a Disney Plus release. As in straight to Disney Plus, cause it was. John M. Chu, the director of Wicked, was gonna direct this movie at one point. The director of Wicked! Oh my god, what we could have had. Then again, I guess if we had that, we wouldn't have gotten Wicked. Which makes me all the more sad, I guess. The fact that Lilo and Stitch had to be sacrificed for Wicked to be as good as it was. This is the world I live in. This is the world we live in. Folks, today is a sad day. This live-action Lilo and Stitch movie, it has its slivers of hope in some good moments. With our title characters, Lilo and Stitch, they're good together, but the rest of the movie is completely butchered and massacred. The other characters, the story, the visual effects, I can't with this movie. It's not gonna get my worst rating, but for Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch, I will say, wait until you can stream this movie online. There is a mid-credits scene here, and it's fine. I don't know if Disney wants to continue this particular franchise, like with further installments of live-action Lilo and Stitch. I read somewhere that they might, and God knows where that's gonna go. Might it be good? Might it be bad? Who knows? But judging from this movie, I can't say I want to know right now. So, Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake, or reboot, whatever you want to call it, have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts on it? Is your opinion the same as mine? If so, I want to know. If it's different, I definitely want to know. I'd love to talk about this. So whatever you think, please go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace!